Hello YouTube, Big Boy Man here, bringing you the third and final installation of my Evolve Review Trilogy. This is the one you've all been waiting for, the one where I take off the gloves and give Evolve a big old what for. I apologize in advance for the boring nature of the footage you're about to see, but it is a necessary evil in order to illustrate the points I'm about to make. Let's start this off with the matchmaking system. It's only a 5-player game, and matchmaking will often start with only 3 slots filled, so you have 3 live players and 2 bots. Why can't you just get 5 players? Why is that so difficult? You pick the order that you want. You can't just say like, oh, I want to be Trapper, I want to be Monster, and then wait for that. You pick like, the thing I want most is the Monster, and the thing I want least is the Trapper. And then it'll prioritize and try and give you your number 1 choice, and if you can't get your number 1 choice, it'll give you your number 2 choice, and so on. The problem with this is that way too often you get stuck with your last choice. Sometimes you'll be in a game where it only fills 3 slots and you still get your last choice. So there's a real problem with that system if you know for a fact that there are options beyond your last choice and it's still giving you your last choice. Another problem is that there's only 2 searchable game modes. There's Skirmish, which is Hunt, and there's Evacuation, which is 5 games in a row that you play as sort of a mini multiplayer campaign. A lot of times I'm trying to search for Evacuation and it puts me in a game of Hunt. I don't know why this is. There's only 2 modes and it can't even put me in the mode that I'm searching for. With that scenario, it's entirely possible that you could be trying to find a match of Evacuation playing as a hunter, and instead it puts you in a match of Skirmish Hunt playing as the Monster. I mean, that's like, hey, here's the opposite of what you want to do. Suck it. That gets frustrating. The other day, that happened to me 4 out of 5 games I tried to play. 4 out of 5 games where I wanted to play one game mode as one type, and it put me in the opposite game mode as my last choice. I mean, that's too much. I can understand it happening once in a while, but 4 out of 5 times, and it happens a lot, so they need to work on that. And then whenever you get into a game, you have to deal with loading menu after loading menu. There is tons of waiting before and after the matches. Whenever you're playing Evacuation and you're between matches, there's a character progression screen, and there's a colony status screen that turns into a vote for the next map screen, and then there's a loading screen, and then there's a character select screen that has a 2-minute timer so that if someone takes 2 minutes, which a lot of people do because they forget or they're just really slow at picking their characters, you're waiting 2 minutes just for people to pick their characters. Then there's another loading screen, and then there's a cutscene, and then there's another loading screen. And if you're playing as hunters, then you have to wait for a dropship animation. So you can easily be waiting over 5 minutes between each match, okay? 5 minutes might not sound like a lot, but just go stare at a wall for 5 minutes and see how long it feels. Then add in the connection issues. There are so many connection issues in this game. The connection to your previous session has been lost or no longer exists. Protocol error. You have been kicked from the match. Connection to the host has timed out. Failed to connect to online profile service. Your online stats will not be saved. Please check your network connection. Could not join party. It already has the limit of 5 players. Even if the person you're playing with is in the game and there's bots in the game and you know that there's space, it'll tell you there's not space. Waiting for load times is bad enough, but regularly getting disconnected mid-match or fighting to even connect in the first place and constantly having to reboot the entire game just to break the disconnection cycle is incredibly frustrating. It's even worse on Evacuation when you're 3 or 4 games in and you've been playing for 45 minutes to an hour, and then you suddenly get disconnected and you lose the giant 3, 4, 5,000 experience bonus you get at the end of Evacuation. You feel like you've just wasted all of that time. Sure, you had the fun of playing the games, but the ultimate payoff that you're driving towards is taken away from you because it just says, hey, fuck you, you're disconnected. On a side note, that does become kind of a non-issue once you hit level 40 because then experience doesn't matter anymore. I really wish they had done something to make the experience process go further, that you go beyond level 40, or once you hit level 40, you become like Monster Master level 1, and then you start over your progression, or something like that. But once you hit 40, then that little bit of pleasure that you got from waiting in between matches by seeing your experience go up, well, that's gone too. You have no more experience to go up, so you're just looking at experience points that you've gotten that don't really mean anything. Here's just 2 specific examples of my many struggles with playing this game. So I wanted to play as a hunter, but I was forced into playing the monster. Alright, fuck it. I played as the Kraken. There was something going on in the game itself that wasn't working properly. My vortex kept whiffing through enemies, and half of the time I used my lightning strike, it would be invisible, so I couldn't even aim it, and I ended up losing. So whatever, I lost, that happens. I was a little annoyed because I didn't even want to play as the monster, and then the monster's attacks weren't working right, and the game glitched out, and blah blah blah. But whatever, okay? I'm gonna play another match now. Oh, I got the monster again. 2 times in a row, got my last choice. Okay, fuck this. I don't like quitting in the middle of games, especially in a game like this where there's only 5 people, but come on, I don't want to play the freaking monster again. I'm trying to play as a hunter. It's my last choice, so I quit out. Okay, I'm the asshole, I quit. Fine. Then the 3rd time, I got the monster again. This time, it was in the middle of a match, with half of his health gone and all 4 hunters around him attacking him. Oh, good. Okay, I'm thrown into a match where my only choice is to take over a bot that's about to die. Okay, I'm going to quit out of that one. And let's not forget that every time you quit out, you have to wait a minute. You get the 1-minute penalty for quitting a match. The 4th game, finally got the hunter, played for a couple minutes, and then it glitched out to this. Okay, my other example. I wanted to play 1 game of evacuation with the monster. That's all I wanted to do. I'm just going to play 1 game of evacuation with the monster and then go do something else with my life. It took me 30 minutes to even get into a game. I finally got into the game. I got disconnected after 5 minutes. It throws me back into a lobby, and I'm in an empty lobby, but I can't back out of the lobby without taking a 1-minute penalty. Well, I have no choice. Back out of the lobby, take 1-minute penalty, wait a minute, and then start the endless search screen for what felt like the 30th time of the day. Finally started to get into games after that. Ended up playing 8 games. 6 out of the 8 games that actually connected made me a hunter whenever monster was my first choice. Alright, whatever. Okay, I'll just play as a hunter. I got to be the monster twice. Once, I started as a stage 1 Kraken in a match that had already started. The skills had already been picked for me, whatever, I jump into the game. So I eat enough, I evolve to stage 2, and all of my skills get reset to 0. I have my 3 skill points, but I have nothing in any of my abilities. So essentially, I'm a stage 2 monster with stage 1 abilities. And the other time I got to be a monster, I got 5 minutes into the match and got disconnected. It has not been uncommon for me to have to wait 20 to 30 minutes just to start playing the game. One time, it took me an entire hour to get into a game. Add in loading times and disconnects, and your gaming session can turn sour very quickly, especially when it happens almost every single time you try to play. I timed it out, and in a full game of evacuation, which generally runs between 45 minutes and an hour and 15 minutes, so I'll just split the difference to an hour. If you count all the time that you're not actually in a game in control and playing, you are spending about 22 minutes on loading screens and selection screens and searching screens. Okay, 22 minutes out of an hour. If you take out all of the selection screens and all of that kind of stuff and only count loading screens, you're still looking at about 8 minutes out of an hour. Okay, so in the best case scenario, if you're not having disconnection issues and you're not counting anything except loading screens, you're spending 8 minutes out of an hour staring at loading screens. That's over 13% of your gaming time. And if you count all the time you're not actually playing and you count in the average amount of time that you have to deal with disconnects, then easily 50% of your game time is spent waiting. For every half an hour you are spending in a game actually playing it, you're spending another half an hour looking at loading screens and fighting with disconnection issues. You should never feel overwhelmed about playing a game. You shouldn't have to dread the struggle of simply starting a match that lets you play without stalling out or having errors or booting you or freezing or searching forever or disconnecting and on and on and on. This is all stuff that can be fixed, but there was an alpha and there was a beta and there was a day 1 3 gigabyte patch, and it's still in this condition. Over a week ago, there was a patch that was supposed to balance multiplayer and incrementally fix connection issues, and for 3 or 4 days after that, I could barely play at all, and whenever I could play, I generally would get kicked out of the game. Then for a couple of days after that, it worked almost flawlessly, and then it went back to hit and miss, which is where it's at right now. Okay, it does not inspire confidence. I really love playing Evolve. I think it's a great game, and it's so full of fulfilling strategy, intense, exciting action, but there's this huge barrier you have to overcome to even get to the point of enjoying it. I'm pretty patient about these things, but I have my limits. I feel like if these issues aren't fixed, the community is going to move on, and an amazing game is going to die before it even has a chance to prove itself. Hardline is right around the corner, and I'm really interested in that. Its beta had great load times and almost no connection issues at all. Right now, I'm playing the Smite Alpha, and the loading times are so fast that it actually takes me aback sometimes. I will be getting ready to sort of automatically go into phase-out mode because I'm about to wait for the game to start for the next 5 minutes, and then it's like, ka-ching, 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 game starting. And I'm like, whoa, what? I'm playing already? What the fuck is this? I'm not used to this. And since the Smite Alpha's been out, I've only gone back to play Evolve once, and I almost didn't play because after waiting for 5 minutes, I was like, fuck this, I'm going to go play Smite. But then it started just when I was about to quit, and I managed to play a game, and I was like, yay, this is fun, but still, whenever I'm sitting here going, I'm going to play a game right now, do I want to play Evolve, where I'm going to have to wait around and hopefully get to play, or do I want to play Smite, where I will pop into a game within a minute, and I've been picking Smite over and over and over again. So that's a pretty dire implication for the future of Evolve if they don't fix these issues, because between the lightning fast connection speeds of Smite and Hardline, it's going to get harder and harder to justify going back to Evolve. I would love to split my time difference between Evolve and Smite and Battlefield, but given the choice between jumping straight into a consistent experience or continuously fighting to even start playing and then hope that I get to play the way that I want to and then hope that I don't get disconnected and then sit around waiting for a bunch of loading menus all day, I'm going to gradually veer more and more into the game I don't have to battle with just to play. I really want Evolve to succeed. I want to keep playing it, and I want to keep honing my talents and experimenting with strategies, but first I just really need to be able to play it. So after all of that, I have 2 ratings for this game. With matchmaking, loading screens, and connection issues, I give it a Turtle Rock, get your shit together before this awesome game completely dies, out of 10. Core gameplay and fun factor, I give it a fuck yeah. Bring on the behemoth and the next set of hunters.
Faster, faster, faster!
Out of 10. In a perfect world, they would fix all of the connection issues, reduce the load times, and then continuously release more and more content to keep the experience fresh for all of the dedicated fan base. So please fix the bullshit so we can continue to enjoy this amazing experience you've crafted for us. So that's about it. Evolve has some amazing potential and some crippling faults. So I'll keep you updated on how it goes, and if you haven't gotten the game yet and you're still kind of on the fence, I'll let you know whether it gets better or not and whether it's not worth the purchase. I would love to say that it is worth the purchase, but for now it's kind of 50-50. If you don't mind fighting to get into the game and sitting through long loading times, then yeah, go for it. It's awesome once you're playing it. But if that's a deal breaker for you, if you just want to be able to get in and play and don't want to worry about all that other crap, then you might want to hold off and wait to see if they get it fixed. And then if they do get it fixed, then hell yeah, get it, jump in. But for now, the awesome experience this game has to offer is being dampened by a few simple intrinsic variables. Has nothing to do with running simulator, has nothing to do with day one DLC, has nothing to do with lack of content, has to do with shitty matchmaking, shitty disconnects, and shitty loading times. So hopefully that gets taken care of. Until next time, I'm Big Boy Man. Thanks for hearing me out.